Welcome to the event Everyone Loves Design Thinking, should you as well. Today we will dive into the world of design thinking, a method that has taken the professional and creative industries by storm. This event is designed to explore design thinking and its practical applications as well as its challenges. A warm welcome to everyone who is joining on LinkedIn and YouTube today. Let us know your name and where you are joining from in the chat window. My name is Sabina Bieniecka, and I will be your host in this event today. We will be talking about reasons for design thinking popularity. Our panelists will share their experience and context where they have successfully applied design thinking in their professional practice. We will discuss mistakes, challenges, and difficulties in its implementation and how to overcome them. I will ask my guests to share their personal views on design thinking, including what they love and in it and what they find frustrating in design thinking. Finally, we will discuss benefits of using design thinking and the specific situations in which it works. And last but not least, we will share useful and practical implementation tips. Joining us today is a really great panel of practitioners. Our first panelist is Rafał Czarny, Director of Innovation and Development at Inprogress Design Lab. He is also the lead author of DT Method and author of the book Design Thinking Basics and Introduction to DT Method. Rafał is also an accredited by APMG trainer in change management, DT method, and facilitation. Welcome, Rafał.
Welcome, Sabina. Welcome, everyone. It is a great pleasure being here with you.
Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you. Our second panelist is Jan Wardecki. Jan is the head of User Experience Design Center of Expertise at BNP Paribas and a co-founder of the Polish branch of Service Design Network Poland. Thank you, Jan, for joining us today.
Welcome, everyone.
Welcome. And we are also joined by Łukasz Łata, our first panelist today. Łukasz is a program lead at the Disco Hasso-Platyna Institute at Potsdam. Thank you, Łukasz, for joining the panel today.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me.
Thank you again, Rafał, Jan, and Łukasz for joining us. And let's kick off the meeting with the first question. So, why is design thinking so popular? And in what context have you used this approach in your professional practice? Łukasz, why don't you start sharing your experience with us?
Perfect. Thank you. So, in my opinion, design thinking became very popular as it gives opportunity to focus on a human aspect in any organization or a project that we are working on. It encourages users to spend more time in a problem space before jumping into solution. And yeah, I could ask anyone actually participating, how many times actually you jump into a conclusion or actually jumping into a task when you've been asked a question, okay? Those are the mindsets that we are basically being taught in a traditional education, that you're being given a task and you immediately jump into trying to solve it. And design thinking, it's the mindset and a methodology that basically is allowing people to slow down and to actually stay longer in a problem space. Design thinking also, in my opinion, give us a simple process that allow us to start working on a complex project, process that is actually flexible, that includes regular check-ins and a feedback from stakeholders involved in the project, and allows us to constantly reassess the progress and our work. And to answer your second part of the question, in my work, I primarily focus on academia, where I teach basics of design thinking. However, in the projects and the programs that I run, we work with the real businesses and organizations. So currently, some of the project partners that I work with are from a space of tackling social issues, for example, a hatred, or even a startup developing a medical device for patients recovering from severe illnesses. I also worked in a consulting capacity using design thinking principles and tools in a space of in industries such as, for example, banking or industry. So the application of design thinking is actually quite wide.
Right. Thank you for sharing this. It actually really shows how vast the network of use for the design thinking is actually. Thank you. Rafał, you also have an experience both as a trainer in design thinking, but also a kind of a researcher. What are your thoughts about the reasons for popularity for design thinking?
As a researcher and practitioner as well, I have quite different environments than Łukasz. So I see the design thinking in a bit different way, because there are people around me who are great project managers. They are great at organizing work. They are great in managing dependencies. They are great at managing risks. They plan and they deliver. And what is increasingly becoming a problem for them is not delivering the product or service itself, but the problem is creating a good product or good service. By good, I mean a solution that delivers benefits. And benefits are brought to organizations by satisfying their users' or customers' needs. Design thinking is precisely about designing a solution that actually benefits users. And this is why, in collaboration with our clients, we carry out a design thinking process before launching a project management processes. We use design thinking to determine what the project should deliver. And this is why design thinking is getting more and more popular in my environment. It's because using design thinking before launching a project management process increases the likelihood of delivering a product which will be successful on the market.
Right. Thank you, Rafał. And Jan, you have the very vast practical experience in dealing with design thinking in several different areas. What is your take on the topic of popularity of design thinking?
Well, to start with, I would say that design thinking has become popular because it's, first of all, it offers a structure, but yet flexible approach to problem solving that centers the user, the human needs. So from my point of view, I think that's popular because it's actually a few reasons for its popularity. First of all, it's user-centered focus. So we are focusing on the design thinking is focusing on the user human needs. And nowadays, the success for the products as well as successful services are actually product needs. So basically, thanks to that, is human-centered and user-centered. This is the main success and popularity. But from my opinion, I think that another reason is collaborative and innovative flavor of design thinking. Why? Because thanks to process, thanks to tools, we are able to develop innovative products and services. And I would say the last reason, from my point of view, it's a collaborative way of working, which is the heart of design thinking. Not only human, but also collaboration with other person, teammates. So from my point of view, this process and tools allow to cooperate, work all together in order to solve problems or invent innovative product or services. From my point of view, I've used design thinking to improve not only customer experience in banking services, but also to look for innovation in such a product like basically typical standard products, digital products, but also banking products, but also employer experience. So from my point of view, I'm using it very often. To be honest, lots of tools are extremely useful and helpful for people in order to, first of all, define the problem, find the customer and user and human needs, and then try to create services or products which will meet their needs. So basically, it's extremely useful, and I'm using a lot nowadays.
Thank you, Jan. Thank you, all of you. It looks like indeed design thinking offers the very needed change in perspective or a paradigm necessary for bringing innovation and finding solutions that actually work. But it's not really free from challenges, right? So from your experience, what would you say, what difficulties and challenges does design thinking present? And what are the problems in implementing it successfully? Łukasz.
So let me start with saying that it takes time to actually implement design thinking. And it takes even longer to actually get people involved in the design thinking project to actually loosen up and drop their own old habits or ways of thinking. So I previously mentioned the lack of thinking in a space of stepping out of the comfort zone and actually getting into loosening up. Okay, then design thinking offers opportunity to become more innovative and give us an essence of how to actually step into unknown territory and try to actually change and reinvent them ourselves in terms of our mindset. When it comes to a problem of implementation of design thinking, as I mentioned already, it takes time to actually change people's mindsets and their way of collaborating or opportunity to sort of expose them to building on and working on building on ideas of others, or even exposing them to active listening and empathy. And those mindset, obviously, they take time, and it takes a lot of effort to sort of drop them after being exposed to the traditional way of thinking and education that sort of pushes us to get into to receive a task and go and get it sort of fixed immediately. So in my opinion, those would be, let's say, the main drawbacks and sort of blockers of implementing design thinking.
Right. Thank you, Łukasz. And Jan, how about you? What challenges do you see when you implement design thinking?
Well, to be honest, I've encountered several challenges and disadvantages, or maybe difficulties with the implementation of design thinking. I would say there are three most important, in my opinion, challenges. The first one, this is the mindset. The second is time and resources. And thirdly, I would say this is the public relation, PR of the design thinking right now. First of all, I would just tackle the issue regarding the mindset. First of all, the people should be well prepared for this methodology, for DT method, because they should know what is the process like. So they should change a little bit this mindset from solution first to problem first and customer needs first. So from my point of view, the main challenge is just trying to learn and create the mindset which allow to deep dive in a customer and human needs. So this is the first, I would say, challenge, how to create this mindset and culture which will be really into customer needs, not only the solution. The another thing is time and resources. Nowadays, everything should be fast, and from my opinion, design thinking process takes a while sometimes, because we should have deep dive in a customer user and human needs. So then we should actually define the challenge, create a solution, and then test. So basically, we need the time. So that's why this is the challenge I'm encountering very often. And resources. It's not a solo game. It's a collaboration of the team, of the people. That is why, from my opinion, we need the people. And nowadays, everyone is have limited time. So that is why this is the main challenge. And the last thing, I would say more and more people are thinking that it's just a fun, the post-its in a room. However, this is the process, this is approach. Design thinking is an approach that that requires from people being involved. That is why, from my opinion, they should treat it as a process, as a framework to actually solve the problems. But sometimes they're treating as just I would say, corpotainment.
Very good name for that. Thank you, Jan. Rafał, you're a trainer in design thinking. Do you see the same kind of problems or challenges as Jan and Łukasz mentioned?
Yeah, I think it's always and everywhere similar because from my perspective, two main problems or difficulties are first, time, and second, attitude or mindset to the process. However, I see it from a bit different perspective because I'm a facilitator also, which comes from the outside of the organization and conduct the design thinking process not as internal facilitator, but hired one. And when I work with my clients, I always create a team from their staff. And in most cases, that works well. But sometimes there is a calendar disaster. This is because more than not, such people who are involved in the design thinking process are very engaged employees. They have very high motivation, so they are engaged in a lot of different initiatives. So this means that they are busy and have a lot of other tasks at work. And as Jan said, people need to have time to attend meetings, to conduct stakeholder research, to build prototypes, to test them. And if people are told that additionally they have to do design thinking without taking into account their other tasks, we won't get the right commitment from the team. And the second thing, also Jan and Łukasz mentioned it, is attitude or mindset. And people should have this good mindsets when they come to the meetings. Some people think that design thinking is a kind of game during which a solution will appear in a magical way. But we should remember that there is no magic, there is work. And design is work. Participating in workshops, it is work. Conducting stakeholders research, that is work as well. And if we want to conduct design thinking process correctly, if we want to have the highest possibility of developing good solutions, we should remember that this is way of working. Design thinking is way of working and not fun only, because of course a good atmosphere and fun during design thinking meetings is the result of a job well done, and that's how it should work.
Okay, very important points. Thank you, Rafał, for sharing. And to stay a little bit only in the problem area, from your experience, what mistakes do professionals make more often when implementing design thinking? Łukasz.
So I already mentioned that it takes a lot of time and effort to introduce design thinking in an organization. And it definitely requires a lot of hand-holding and support from more experienced lead or a coach who is going to make actually people safe and support them on the way. And I think the biggest mistake... sorry, I have a feedback in my headphones. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Sorry about that. I think the biggest issue and a sort of a mistake that is being done in a space of rolling out the design thinking and this methodology in a project is basically a poor communication that speaks around the space of what are we doing and why are we doing it, and that also impacts how quickly and how well the project is being rolled out. And if there is enough support actually both from the project leadership as well as the project partners, as well as the project participants. And if the team actually starts to see that the work that they are doing is not getting any traction from the management, if they don't get enough support from them, they very quickly lose their support. They very quickly lose energy and lose momentum, and then that sort of is the very beginning of bigger issues unveiling throughout the rollout of the project and using that methodology in the organization.
Thank you, Łukasz and Rafał. How does it look like from your perspective?
Well, I totally agree with Łukasz. I will add something more to that, because some practitioners do not rely on a proven, reliable knowledge when applying design thinking. Unfortunately, there is a lot of misinformation on social media and blogs about creativity, about team engagement, or about methods for building stakeholder understanding. But all of this already has been researched. It is known for a long time that, for example, traditional team brainstorming conducted as a conversation is the least effective method of generating ideas. Another example is that some people further believe that in the design thinking process, one interview is enough to build the understanding of the users. In my opinion, the biggest mistake professionals make is to accept this anecdotal information without hesitation, and this causes us to fail into some kind of vicious cycle of repeating inappropriate practices and building an inappropriate image of design thinking.
Thank you, Rafał. And how about you, Jan? What mistakes do you see your team members or other people you see implementing design thinking?
Well, first of all, I totally agree with Łukasz as well as Rafał, and I would like to add my perspective. So from my point of opinion and experience, we shouldn't focus so much on design thinking in a process at all. We should focus in general and try to follow the process, but sometimes it's good to be flexible. And from my point of view, professionals are focusing too much the process to the tools. Okay, we should focus, but still we should be flexible according to the needs of the company, of the product, of the service, of the project. There are lots of techniques, methods inside the DT method as well as in design thinking, and we should pick up the methods which will be the most effective to the process, to the product, to the challenge. So from my point of view, focusing and trying to do everything that we know. So basically, we should actually adapt, inspect, and adapt to the situation. So from my point of view, it's like much more focusing on the process could be harmful for a whole initiative. That is why we should follow process. However, we should choose what kind of technique, what kind of activity we should do. Because at the end of the day, it is not about the process. Actually, it's about delivering the solution which will solve the problem, meet the customer needs or the human needs. So basically, we should follow the process, but still we should bear in mind that our objective of the professional facilitator as well as of the team is delivering the valuable the product service to the client. So basically, this is the method. It's I would say the best one which we have right now. However, we shouldn't, and professionals are sometimes too much focused on the methodology, but sometimes we should have the context and think about being flexible in solving the problem. So it's just a remark from my side.
True, and a good point. And actually, this approach, I think, this assumption is in the heart of design thinking or the method that we're actually also discussing today. Thank you, Jan, for sharing this. So let's move to the next question and let's play a game, a fun game. If you have to name one thing only that you find very frustrating about design thinking, what would that be? Jan.
From my opinion, It sounds strange, but you can be stuck in the customer human needs. So basically, I sometimes hate that we are stuck. The empathy phase. It's we can be so into the empathy phase, and we can be really into deep dive and checking the customer, user, and human needs. So this is sometimes I hate it because we are really close to the human needs. That is why we could be very stuck in this phase. So this is one thing I hate. But on the other hand, this is the best part of the design thinking, I would say.
Confusing, right? Thank you. And Łukasz, is there anything actually that you don't like about design thinking?
Yeah, so definitely. And I think Jan already mentioned the whole thing about the corpotainment. He called it corpotainment. I call it a bad reputation of design thinking, because whenever you mention design thinking as a methodology, people immediately are bringing into mind the images of post-its, whiteboards, and markers, and all having fun, and everyone happy clappy and having good time, not really working hard. And I believe that this reputation makes it really difficult to win people over, especially in the very beginning of the project. And it requires a lot of time and effort, as well as hand-holding from a more experienced, let's say, coach or a facilitator who is basically leading the project development, or leading the facilitation of design thinking workshops.
Thank you, Łukasz and Rafał. Is there anything you can find that you don't like about design thinking?
There is a lot of things, but you wanted to name only one of this. So this may sound radical in my mouth, but what to do? I hate being facilitator the most. Why? The facilitator should not engage in substantive work of the team. The facilitator guards the process, provides participants with appropriate tools, explains the design thinking process, but it does not participate in stakeholder research, does not generate ideas, does not comment on them, does not create prototypes. It's all done by the team, by the people whom we can name designers or who are designers, not facilitator. And I hate it because sometimes I want to say something so much and I cannot. And it is very hard not to interrupt or disturb the creative process which is happening in the team. And it's very annoying to me. Yeah.
Okay. I understand that you love design thinking as so much that you hate being left alone. Okay, thank you. So now, what are the things that you love about design thinking? Starting from Łukasz.
Okay, thank you. It's a very thin line between love and hate, right? So what I love about design thinking is the fact that it's very inclusive, and it involves everyone to participate in a project. So that's definitely something that I'm really fond of. And I also, however, the biggest thing that I love about design thinking is how the design thinking mindsets can actually impact people and participants, as well as the stakeholders, even in their personal life. So, for example, I love to see how project stakeholders are changing throughout the length of the project, and change their way of thinking, change the way they collaborate, change sometimes how they slow down into jumping into conclusion, or having strong opinions, how they collaborate. I love to see how people start to have an attitude of saying yes and most importantly, I start to see, and even in my own personal life, how strong opinionated I became actually after becoming a design thinking expert. You stop seeing world in a kind of black and white colors. You start to see that there is a million shades of grays in between, and that's definitely something that is the most impactful impactful part of design thinking on people's life.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Łukasz. Design thinking indeed changes the way of approaching problems and changes the perspective. Yeah, I love it about it as well. Rafał, we already know you love design thinking. What do you love the most?
I think it is very similar as Łukasz. In design thinking, I love people. I love people and how different they are, because everyone understands the world and interprets it in a very different way. And sometimes designers during the design thinking process experience a total surprise or revelation about their users. And it is fantastic to be able to observe this and to be there during this event. And what I really love a lot is when the team arrives to a solution and I see these sparks of satisfaction in their eyes, sights of amazement at how good a solution they have came up with. And this is reward for all of the effort which team put in the design thinking process. And it's also reward for me for guiding them to this point. So this is what is very, very satisfactory to me.
Great that you can experience that. Thank you, Rafał. And Jan, how about you? What are the things that you are most excited when you go to your work?
When I'm going to my work, when I'm working in a design thinking approach. So basically, I totally agree with as well as Rafał and Łukasz. What can I say? I can say that design thinking is for people and for people, generally for people and for people created for people, and that is why I think the people are the center of design thinking. So that is why this collaborative way of solving problems and challenges, from my point of view, is most important, that we can actually solve the problems together. So basically, it's not about only a solo person, but about the team. So that is why I think that the most I think I like it's about the people. However, maybe it is a little bit strange, but also that it's iterative process. It's not like that we are ending the process and just solving something and saying goodbye. Still, during the prototyping and testing, I really like the most testing, because we are actually discovering the real needs of the customers, and not only as a facilitator, I can see that people are discovering, but also this is the teamwork, which is extremely inspiring. So to sum up, I would say that most fascinating about design thinking is people who are in the middle of the process, trying to prototype and test their solutions together in order to deliver a valuable product. So nothing new, because I totally agree with Rafał and Łukasz.
Thank you, Jan, and thank you all of you. And to move to more serious problems and serious issues, you've been all working on a lot of different projects using design thinking in some form and shape. From your experience, what would you say what kind of projects benefit most when you spend design thinking on them?
Well, first of all, I would say that design thinking is an approach that can be applied across a wide range of projects and industries in order to foster innovation, improve the customer experience, or just solve the complex problem. However, from my point of view, as we mentioned before, the design thinking is a method approach that are solving human problems and very complex problems. That is why, from my point of view, when we have a project or product or problem which is a problem of a human, then the design thinking is the best I would say, approach, because it's a well-structured and yet flexible, I would say, approach when we actually can solve the human needs and problems. So that is why I think that we can apply to, as I mentioned, wide range of projects and industries, not only banking, but also healthcare and also other industries. But still, I think that it's the best and most effective when we would like to deliver valuable product services to the customers, to the people, to human. Because when it comes to projects which are much more technology, when we don't have a customer, when we don't have people person, it will be difficult to use the design thinking. That is why I think that it's most suitable for projects which are tackling the human problems and needs.
Okay, thank you, Jan. And how about you, Łukasz? What is your experience with the projects that you think benefit more from design thinking?
So definitely project that should be specifically tackled by you applying design thinking as a methodology. They should be focusing on either innovation or coming up with, let's say, or projects addressing the wicked problems. So problems to which we don't really have a clear answer, and I think that we wouldn't be actually applying design thinking to problems where we already know the answers to. So I like to actually say that a surgeon wouldn't use design thinking method to sort of consider if he should cut left or right to the let's say an organ that he's operating on, or a mechanic wouldn't use design thinking to sort of come up with the answer to a work that he's actually doing on the engine. However, if we actually look at it from a different perspective, if we start to look at if we rephrase it, and if we're gonna start asking how surgeon could use design thinking, that could go somewhere between the lines of how can we decrease number of patients with coronary disease living in the big cities. In this case, actually, design thinking would be a perfect way and a perfect methodology to start tackling that kind of issues. And as both of my panelists actually already mentioned, design thinking is all about human and human needs. Now, the whole concept is actually being also expanded into a life-centered design. Preferably, the human should be in the center of the attention of the problems and the challenges that we are tackling using design thinking.
And that's coming from your experience using design thinking, right, Łukasz? That working with you mentioned healthcare system NGOs. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. So the type of a project that I know that I either worked on specifically myself, or I know that the design thinking was being used on are, for example, currently one of the project partners that I'm working with is a local German organization that is actually trying to tackle the issue of hatred in a public space and how to improve citizen participation in a citizenry good behavior. Back in Cape Town, the projects that we are working on as a D-School were around actually improving people's awareness and a better response during the time when Cape Town was about to hit day zero, where they almost ran out of water a few years back. I think it was somewhere around 2018, 2019. Obviously, the no-brainer is basically using design thinking method to design new type of services or a new type of products. Again, from a public administration, you could use design thinking, and I witnessed a really good use case of using design thinking again in Cape Town by City of Cape Town, trying to improve process of application and getting social housing. So, you know, the number of use cases and projects, it's really widely available, and it's just basically, you know, matter of trying to make sure that the problem that we are phrasing would be easily approached and targeted by this methodology.
Right, thank you. And yeah, and it's from your experience in the corporate world.
Yeah, yeah, I would like to just add something because Łukasz mentioned a very important thing. We should adjust this methodology and approach according to the challenge, because sometimes there are a vast majority of people who are thinking that we can tackle by design thinking everything, even compliance and regulatory issue. Indeed, sometimes it's possible. However, we should bear in mind that we can use some kind of tools which will be helpful, but still we have to think about that not in every place we can use the design thinking, but the tools, we can use it. So it's often misleading that we are not able to use design thinking. Okay, when there's a regulatory compliance area, we cannot use fully. However, we should actually be more flexible, decide which tools we can use it and which tools will give us benefit, and first of all the benefits for the human, for people. So from my point of view, it should be also discussion about should we apply tools or only just process. So basically I would say the tools should be applied everywhere where we can, but still we should adjust according to the challenges, according to the problem, as mentioned, Łukasz.
Thank you. Yeah, a very important point. I think it shows that it's not the answer to the question if we want to use design thinking, but how. And we should be very considerate and flexible and have reasonable approach to design thinking. Thank you. And Rafał, I know you did a lot of research on design thinking, working on your book, and you worked with several different types of clients and different kind of projects. What is your experience in the type of projects that benefit most from using design thinking?
Yes, so I have worked with companies developing very different things. One of the company was building a new office building, and we did design thinking to identify the key usability criteria of the office for the employees. And based on this, the architects had developed professional designs and construction plans. So we put design thinking at the beginning, and after that, architects came with their work and did it in the architectural way. I worked with logistics company to help them develop a logistics strategy. I worked with a consulting company, and we developed an offer for a specific customer segment. With another company, we worked to improve inclusivity at their corporate culture. So in my opinion, design thinking is suitable wherever there are people, and this approach is not tailored to the specific industry, but to the type of the problems, as Jan and Łukasz both said. If you need to find a solution to a complex problem that is related to people, and you want to get their perspective, and you can do that because possibility is another thing. If you can do that, use design thinking. If you think that anything you do will be wrong, use design thinking. If you have no idea what to do next to, for example, grow your business, use design thinking. So you can use design thinking as finding an innovative way, a new way of solving the problem. But as Łukasz and Jan said before, it's not the only problem-solving method. There is a lot of other methods. Tools might be common, and yeah, that's true.
Thank you, Rafał. And let's go then back to the last question. What are your tips for people who just think about using design thinking or have some experience but are very lost. How do you think they should start? From what they should start, what they should do to be successful and to have fun implementing design thinking and to get the best out of design thinking? Łukasz.
So my first advice would be make sure that you clearly communicate. You communicate the intent, your plans, your objectives with firstly the project partners, with the stakeholders that they would be affected by the project, as well as the all of the internal stakeholders. Make sure that you encourage each team member that is going to be actively involved in a design thinking project, that they are valuable team member, that their contribution is very valuable, and then that we're going to use their expertise and their energy from what they're actually working on. Specifically, if you're a leader, make sure that you provide all of the support that is required for the participants, that you would be able to remove all of the blockers. You will be able to support team to actually bring all of the required experts or some VIP stakeholders that they actually can provide some valuable insights and knowledge. And I think lastly, be patient and supportive, because obviously you cannot expect that a week after we start the project you're gonna have all the answers ready. As all of us actually mentioned already, design thinking is all about spending a lot of time, majority of time actually in a problem space, trying to understand the context, trying to understand the wider scope of the situation in which we are in, and all of that requires time, and that obviously would be your pillar before you actually jump into a solution mode and then trying to actually come up with a prototype that is going to address all of the issues.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Łukasz. And Rafał, what are your top tips? And you can be very generous now.
I can be very generous. Thank you very much, Sabina, because I cannot say anything other than to recommend DT methods. DT method is a methodology to help implement design thinking in an organization. And my team and I designed it taking into account the results of scientific research. We drew it on the experience of the designers from different industries and was tested in companies that had never used design thinking before. And that's why I encourage you and recommend using DT method at the beginning of your design thinking path to get known some tips such as rules, roles, models, tools, which you can implement when you start your trip with design thinking.
Thank you very much, Rafał. And how about you, Jan? If you can imagine, talking to the very much younger colleagues or someone who is just thinking about design thinking, what would you tell them?
Well, it will be difficult to give you a full overview how to implement, but in a nutshell, it depends on an organization. First of all, we should define in which organization we are working, whether it's a public, private, or maybe it's a NGO. And after that, we should define and be aligned with the objectives, say objective key results, business goals and objectives, and try to find the product, service, or whatever problem the organization is facing, in which we can implement the design thinking in a small project in order to create an environment that we can actually test the design thinking inside the organization. After testing, we should actually show the results. And from my point of view, the main advice is to try to think big but start small. define the product, service, or whatever problem the organization is struggling with, which we can actually solve, and then show the results. Because from my point of view, nowadays, the most important thing is a business value of the design thinking, in general, of design. So basically, think big, start small, start in small project area, conduct the process, measure the process, especially communicate, even over communicate the results, the effects of the design thinking phase. Because from my point of view, as I mentioned, the most important thing for organization, especially in private area, it's about the business value. And I know that the foundation of design thinking is customer and human, and this is the pillars of the design thinking. However, at the end of the day, the organization are looking for a business results. So in a nutshell, find the product area, try to conduct, apply the method, see the results, over communicate the results if they are positive, or try another one project in order to show the business value of design thinking.
Right. All very good tips. Thank you all. And now I would like to ask you for the closing remarks. So what are the one or two most important messages you would like to leave our audience with? Would you maybe like them to start thinking about something? Would you like to be controversial? Or what's the last message you want to share with the audience? Rafał, how about we begin with you?
It's always the hardest question for me, the closing ones. There is a lot of studies which shows how design thinking impact business and how it impact value of the products which are developed in the organization. The results say that solutions developed using the design thinking approach are more usable, deliver more benefits, are better suited to the users than solutions designed by the teams which don't use design thinking or didn't use design thinking. And I'd like to strongly encourage you to just try. As Jan said a minute ago, just try. In one product, in one project, it might be small product or project, but try to implement this into your practice and see how it works, and look and watch what are results and how it will impact this product, how it will impact work of your team, and the culture of work, because it's also a very important aspect of the design thinking. I'd like to thank Łukasz, Jan, Sabina, and everyone who was engaged in developing this event, and I'd like to thank all of you who are there by being here, for being here. And let's connect on LinkedIn. My name is Rafał Czarny. You can find it, I hope, quite easily on LinkedIn. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I recommend following Rafał on LinkedIn. He shares a lot of tips and a lot of interesting insights about, among others, design thinking. Thank you very much, Rafał. And Jan, what would you like to leave our audience with? What kind of thoughts would you like to share with us?
Well, to sum up, we mentioned that design thinking is proven to be a powerful approach, and it is enabling approach to developing different solutions. However, we should still focus on our objective of our aim. We should wisely adapt DT method or other methods to our challenges and problems, and don't be focused on one approach. Just try to take as much as you can from the DT method as well other approaches in order to solve the human problems, and just build a solution which will meet the customer and user and human needs.
Thank you, Jan. And how about you, Łukasz?
Thank you. Similarly to Rafał, I find it difficult to make my closing remarks because there's so much I can say about design thinking. So hence I was actually trying to write down a couple of bullet points. But How to summarize it? I think design thinking, as I was keep preaching, it requires time and patience and a lot of growth mindset and open-mindedness. In order to start design thinking, your journey to actually become a design thinker, you need to make sure that you sort of drop your old way of thinking. When you actually start introducing design thinking into the organization and actually ask people to join the design thinking projects, you need to make sure that they are aware of that they will need to be very committed and fully participate in a project, that they will be comfortable to step out of their comfort zone, because innovation is about actually trying to find these new paths that haven't been really discovered yet. And that takes a certain type of a personality and a certain type of a mindset, and or at least a guidance from the good facilitator. And if you actually implement it in your organization, as Rafał already mentioned it, you're going to actually get opportunity to design new innovative products or services that haven't been really either discovered yet or have been omitted in our sort of, let's get into our solution mindset and run before we walk. And also similarly to what Rafał said, I think design thinking is definitely going to improve the organizational culture and the collaboration, because design thinking is all about teamwork and bringing diverse perspective and people from multiple different backgrounds into actually coming up and working on a solution, firstly on a problem and then solution together. Thank you. That would be it.
Thank you, Łukasz, and thank you all of you. Thank you to all my guests for very excellent contributions today. And I would like to encourage all of you watching us to find all of our panelists on LinkedIn. And if you're not doing this yet, go find APMG International on LinkedIn as well. And most importantly, of course, thank you all for watching today. Thank you for joining us. We really hope that you have benefited from our experts' advice, and we wish you all good luck and lots of fun on your own design thinking adventures. Thank you, everyone. See you on the next show.